Saudações a todos! Nesse vídeo de hoje, iremos abordar um acumulado de atualizações referentes ao cenário de nosso Sistema Solar, mais especificamente sobre Saturno, com informações provenientes dos contatados Alex Collier, Elena Danaan e Chris O'Connor. Na primeira atualização, temos o resumo e trechos legendados sobre a conversa entre Alex Collier e Elena Danaan, intermediados pelo Dr. Michael Sala. Eles discutiram sobre o que realmente estava por trás das manchetes noticiadas nas grandes mídias sobre uma lua que colidiu com o planeta Saturno. Vamos ver os detalhes dessa conversa.
There was something JP reminded me about that I forgot, which was that there was some stories about that there was a moon that crashed into Saturn, that was covered in the mainstream media, and you had told me that you had done a mission to Saturn, but couldn't tell me anything more about it. And then, now you actually had some information as well about Saturn, about what was on Saturn and what might have been destroyed, or what this story of a moon crashing into Saturn might have been a cover of.
Well, I just asked the question, maybe it wasn't a moon. It may have looked like a moon, but, a lot of the moons and very large asteroids in our solar system are ancient craft.
Yeah, we know they're all crafts, yeah.
And they're everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So, was it a rescue mission? Were they trying to open the portal themselves? I mean, it's very difficult to say, but, when you look at that and where it crashed, and you look at the idea that CERN is clearly pointed, which they've even said in their notes, the notes that were between scientists moving around, they were trying to, when they turn on CERN, it is pointed at the North Pole of Saturn. That's been known for years.
Very interesting.
That can't be a coincidence.
I know David Icke was always talking about the Moon, Saturn, Earth connection, that was somehow part of the control system. So I'm wondering if, whatever it was that crashed into Saturn was a White Hat Initiative, Earth Alliance, maybe JP's mission, whatever clarity you could have on that.
Maybe it's an AI. Maybe it's an AI system. Maybe it's an extension of the Orion AI system that's there. And maybe the moon that they sent, or craft, was there to try to hit it and knock it out. So there wouldn't be this massive loss of life. And there's so many different possibilities.
Elena, you had something.
Yeah, I've had some information that I'll share with you right here. When I've been a few times on a ship with Thoran, and always Saturn was to be avoided, and he was always saying, this is not territory of the Galactic Federation, we cannot approach. And it was really a secret. I could never know what was there, and I was respecting this. Until last year, where all these wars into this star system touched an end, when the Orion Greys were kicked out and the reptilians from the star system. So then they could tell me a bit more. Then, there was this machine on our moon, the Earth moon, that was broadcasting a certain type of frequencies to lock the frequencies on Earth. And this machine that was on the moon, I was told during the year 2021, I think it was February, maybe, I'm not sure, it was taken back by the Earth Alliance and the Federation militarily. The moon was liberated, and this machine, which was an Orion Grey technology, was taken and dismantled. And then at that moment, I was told that this machine was relaying a signal coming from Saturn. And and a little bit after, I was told that there was a black cube on somewhere, either on Saturn or one of the moons. Then I learned that it was on one of the moons. This black cube was Orion Grey technology. that was an emitter that was sending something very bad and dark to the Earth moon, and that was bouncing it to Earth. And I was given this vision that Saturn, the planet Saturn, was the thing that was enhancing the signal and giving it power. And I was giving this vision of Saturn covered like a dark black goo web, or all around it, like if the whole planet Saturn was like a spider web, like, you know, black.
Saturno, que era um planeta apoderado pelos Anunnakis negativos, Enlil e Marduk, foi liberto, e o sistema de inteligência artificial de Orion, que funcionava por lá como parte da retransmissão de frequências da Matrix, foi desmantelado. Agora vamos para a próxima atualização sobre Saturno. Nessa segunda e recente atualização, temos o resumo e trechos legendados sobre a entrevista entre a contatada Elena Danaan e o denunciante Chris O'Connor. Eles conversaram sobre uma reunião extremamente importante que ocorreu na lua de Saturno chamada MIMAS. Nessa reunião entre o príncipe Anunnaki Ea, conhecido aqui na Terra como Enki, e a Aliança da Terra, foram acordados os termos de transferência de custódia de Saturno. Estavam como testemunhas muitos seres da Confederação Intergaláctica e outras organizações extraterrestres. Também esteve presente nessa reunião Chris O'Connor, que serviu no programa espacial secreto que representava as nações da Terra. Vamos acompanhar o que ele compartilhou com Helena sobre essa experiência.
When this star system was liberated by the Earth Alliance and the Galactic Federation of Worlds, the seeders came back. The 24 cultures from the Intergalactic Confederation, to witness the liberation of humanity and to take the hand. Also arrived Ea, also known as Prince Enki, who is not anymore Enki, because Enki means custodian of Earth. Ea arrived in the Nibiru ship with all his faction, his people, and he is actually parked near Saturn. Why he came back? Among other reasons, he also came back to pass on the custody of Saturn to the Earth Alliance, because Saturn was an Anunnaki concession from the start. That is why we could never approach Saturn. Nobody could pass the outer ring of Saturn. It was for this reason. And now that Enlil has been removed from the star system, now that the negative Anunnaki have been cast out, that Earth is liberated from the regressive extraterrestrials, there is no need that the Anunnaki keep the kingdom of Anu keep Saturn. Now this star system belongs to the prominent, more evolved civilization, which is Earth, the Terrans, the Earth Alliance. So the Earth Alliance have been given the keys of Saturn. And I have tonight a fantastic guest, an emissary, representative of Earth, who was there during the agreements that have been passed on the moon MIMAS, Saturn moon MIMAS. Agreement passed between Ea and his people and the Earth Alliance, as witness all the cultures of the Intergalactic Confederation were there. And they were a lot of wonderful, diverse beings. You are going to discover how this meeting was wonderful. I want to introduce you to the Earth representative for the United Nations of Space. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chris O'Connor. I would like to welcome tonight a man who has been involved in this agreement of passing on the custody of Saturn to the Earth Alliance. Chris O'Connor. Chris, welcome.
Hi, it's an absolute pleasure to be here, Elena. Hi, everybody.
Chris, we know you by first the fantastic DIMS device that you brought back from your time in the secret space programs. And also we know you because you have had an incredible, fantastic journey through the space programs, because you hold a diplomatic position. Could you please first tell us about this diplomatic position and how long this is being effective, please?
Well, I have been a part of, in my memory, it's the United Nations, though they're apart and separate and apart from the United Nations on Earth, though they still represent Earth and all the nations of Earth. They just do it galactically and intergalactically. So I started doing that in my service to what a lot of people call the secret space program, but really it's the Space Force that currently exists. And that Space Force has a number of factions as well. And, you know, it works with other of the US military. So that's where I came in, was working with the US military originally. And that was in 1970, you know, and I was age advanced, and then began working for them and for the next 20 or so years until the 90s, around 1990. And then I stopped working for the United States in particular and started working for the whole planet to represent all of Earth, all the nations through the United Nations, you know, off-planet United Nations faction. And to do that, I went to MIMAS, which is the first of all of Saturn's moons. It's one of the smallest, but it's also the first one just outside of the rings of Saturn. And that's actually a space station. It's a modified natural body that turned into a station that resides primarily in the 8th density. So we would go there and we would meet with many other nations and many other organizations and many other worlds, many other races. And we would work with all of these different, like I say, races and other planets and even from other galaxies.
Where on MIMAS, I went, that's it. So first-hand witness.
I mean, I remember part of that was that I was there to speak. You know, we had a lot of stake in the game, right? You know, Earth, you know, is important that we were there. It's important that we were, you know, there to also make amends for some things that some of our human factions have been doing. And so I went into that space, into that large room, and I actually spoke. I don't remember necessarily exactly what it was I was saying, but it was based on, you know, we here on Earth apologize for our part in this scenario kind of thing. That's really kind of what it was. That's the feeling I get from it. And then when I came back outside, I had to punch in a program or punch in a series of, I would say numbers, but they're really symbols, into this computer panel near that doorway. And there's something about me doing that ended a program. And that I remember, you know, but I don't remember what that program was.
Yeah. And when you played your part in this agreement, this session, diplomatic session, very important. Who was there in the room? Do you remember beings, different beings? Do you think you saw Ia and Ki? Was he there? Were there other beings, other races?
Well, there were quite a few other races. I mean, there was probably 1,500 people in the room.
Wow.
It was a lot. It was full. There were a lot of people looked
Wow.
human. They may have been, I don't know. A lot of them looked human that were blue, or looked human that were much taller, looked, very humanoid in that respect.
Além de seres humanos e humanoides similares a nós, Chris conta que também estavam presentes os alteranos, um ser do tipo humanoide caranguejo, e seres anfíbios, que durante a conversa, Elena os reconheceu como sendo os seres Koldacis. Além desses, Chris também lembra ter interagido com Anunnakis, que vestiam trajes verdes com listas pretas e cintos dourados, ou seja, o mesmo uniforme que Elena havia visto na nave Nibiru de Enki. Muito provavelmente Chris avistou Enki também.
So you would have seen Enki, well, Ia, you would have remembered it because he always wears really beautiful gowns, beautiful colors, beautiful, amazing robes.
Well,
So-
there was one being that looked like what I'm assuming are going to be the Anunnaki from my memories, but in fact, I was at one point in time wearing something similar, and so there's some confusion with my memory, but I'll share this, that this one very tall being that we're expressing as far as description, tall with the shimmery skin and all, but he had like on a robe thing, and the robe came down to almost to his wrist, but it draped down, and it was like a silver, and not pleated, but it was kind of wavy, and it was like light more than a gown. It was physical, but then it wasn't physical at the same time. It was really shimmery and iridescent, like a light silver color with all the rainbow colors shimmering within it.
Chris ainda explica que muitos seres estavam presentes de forma holográfica, pois era possível distingui-los pela sua movimentação, que não se afastavam muito de seu local de reunião. Além de todas essas raças de ETs, estavam presentes também os humanos da Terra, representando a Aliança da Terra.
People from Earth were there, I suppose, because the Earth Alliance was present. That was the main thing. Do you remember uniforms of the Earth military or representative of the Earth Alliance type of uniforms that you could identify?
Well, there were what I'm pretty sure was, the Navy and the Air Force, their uniforms, as I recall, looked almost identical. I think the only difference would be a patch for where you are, because I remember with, I think, the group while we were up there, those four in the gray suits that were there, and I believe they were, basically my security taking me. But I remember they had a patch that was sort of like the top of the earth, sort of like the United Nations seal they have here, except for this one had a sickle and a sword, and then like laurel leaves underneath everything, and it was white with blue.
Interesting.
And it was and I never liked that patch. I always thought it was kind of a negative thing with the sickle and the sword, kind of indicated to me, warrior, or
interesting.
So I never liked that patch. I think that's why I remember it.
Well, that's fantastic that you can testify in real time that what happened on MIMAS, these agreements between Ia and the Earth Alliance, passing the custody of Saturn to the Earth Alliance.
Esses foram os acordos de MIMAS, que tivemos como testemunha o insider Chris O'Connor. Ele pôde confirmar pessoalmente sobre essa informação recebida pela Elena através de seus contatos da Federação Galáctica. Então, muitas mudanças ocorrendo em Saturno e em nosso sistema solar em geral, que devem refletir imensamente na Terra. Em resumo, nesse vídeo de hoje, pudemos comprovar essas duas notícias sobre Saturno. O desmantelamento da tecnologia IA dos Greys que funcionava lá, e agora, recentemente, tivemos essa passagem de custódia das mãos dos Anunnakis para a Aliança da Terra. De acordo com as informações reunidas pelo Dr. Michael Salla, Elena Danaan e outros insiders de confiança, acreditamos que em breve, provavelmente esse ano, essas revelações serão levadas a público. Estaremos acompanhando essas e outras revelações aqui no canal. Fiquem atentos para os próximos vídeos. Saudações a todos!